Hi everybody, welcome back to the bench. Well, the last thing I really wanted to do was put one of these silly things back up on the bench again. I'm kind of done with this whole project. It's the Pioneer KP-500. I've done a couple videos on it, gone over quite a bit on it. I did not do a tuner repair video on it, but like I said, I have so many other things I want to work on, but honestly, I got so many emails, and I'm still getting them, along with comments in the comment sections on these videos. People requesting me two things: to install a Bluetooth module and to go over once again how to connect the little circuit board into the main preamp. So I'm going to do those two things, and this is probably the last video I'm going to do on a KP-500. So pay very close attention. Hopefully I will catch this all. And I do not have any written documentation how to do this or anything that I can send you. So please just watch the video closely, and I'll try to go over it nice and slow, and so that hopefully it'll help you if you want to do this mod to your own KP-500. So let's get the cover off and let's begin. So let's start with the connections. And I have two of these on the bench. One of them has already been modified but does not have the Bluetooth yet. And the other one has not been modified. This is just an old one, hasn't been restored, hasn't been serviced. It's just an old KP-500. So there's a couple of wires. Now, again, I'm not going to go over this whole thing again. I did it on the previous video, so you can refer back to that for some of this. But I'm just going to show you some of the wires that you're going to be concerned with. The first one is this white wire right here. So let me pick it up. I'll show you the white wire. And you can see that it goes right here onto pin number 5 of this little switchboard. And this board is responsible for switching between tape and tuner. So you can see this little mechanical thing here, and the faceplate just fell off. So you can see this little mechanical thing, and you can hear the click of the switch, and this is the switch. This switch here is connected to this board. So all we're doing is, let me get the schematic up and I'll show you. The first thing I want to clarify is that there are two versions of the KP-500. There's the KP-500 ZE, which is what most people have. And then there's the KP-500U, which is this one here you're seeing on top. And the main difference is this connector, which causes a lot of confusion with people. This connector has absolutely nothing to do with the preamp or the amplifier or anything like that. It actually connects into the FM tuner section, and if you look here, there is a jumper plug that should be with it. If this is missing, you're going to have to jumper two pins together. And if you look, here's the connector. These are just jumper pins. When you plug it in, you can see how it works, and it actually, counting from this little index pin, your jumper this pin and this pin, which is going to be what pins, well, clockwise would be 1 and 2, I guess, looking at it from this direction. So those two pins there are what need to be jumpered together. And what this does, and I'll show you on the schematic, has nothing to do with the amplifier. Looking at the schematic now, you can see that connector. And down here is your amplifier and tone control section, your preamp section. Up here is the IF and multiplex section of your tuner. And you can see it just goes right into there, and there's a power supply, so pin 4 has your 13.8 volts going into it. This one goes into the input of this little amplifier chip here. And then here's your multiplex chip right here. And so this is actually a pass-through of your IF. And I believe this allowed you to either break the signal. I'm not sure. Hold on, I got a call coming. So where was I? All right, so you have the output of this amplifier section, and it comes out of here. It goes into here, and then you have the little jumper between pins 1 and 2. Comes back, and then it reconnects it up to here. And then, of course, this is your pilot detect and everything. So this has to do with the tuning section, not with, so you can't put a auxiliary input in this. It's not designed for that. Even though it would make total sense that that's what this would connect to, it's not. I don't know if that's like a muting circuit that they can use to mute the tuner or something. I'm not really sure. Never really, I was not able to read any information on that I can remember. So I hope that clears that up. Now back to our little white wire. What is the white wire and where is it coming from? Well, if you look here, you have your switch unit right here. That's that board I showed you. And unfortunately, the schematic doesn't show you the terminal numbers, but that terminal is, I believe it's this one here for tuner and tape. And I think it's this one here, tuner and tape. So what you're doing is you have your 12 volts will come in, or 13.8, whatever you want to call it. And when you flip that little switch, when you pop a tape in, it'll connect the voltage over here and turn on the tuner section. You can see there's all your power and everything going out. So essentially, by cutting that white wire, we are allowing us to switch between our auxiliary input circuit board that we made and the tuner itself. So that's what that is. Looking at the ZE model, you can see it's slightly different. Again, you have 13.8 volts. This is your white wire coming across here and going up here and powering everything up here. So they're a little bit different, but essentially all we're doing is we're cutting power from the tuner section. So that's what this white wire is right here. This is that 13.8 volts being switched out to the tuner. If we remove this white wire, the tuner will shut off and it will have no power on that. Whole board will just be completely powerless, which is this board down here. So going back to our original unit, we have the white wire here, which is power to the tuner. So it kind of snakes its way around and goes to this board. If I remove this white wire, I remove power to the tuner and none of the tuning section will turn on. So going to our modified unit, we remove that white wire, and it came off of that pin, and we put it onto our little toggle switch. Now, on the other one we did the video on, we utilized one of these front panel switches. We repurposed it. On this one, I put an external separate switch in the back. This was my first one I modified. So we pick off our 12 volts right here, and you can pick that up pretty much anywhere you want, but I actually have it connected to where the white wire was. So when you pull the tape out, the tuner turns on, it puts power to that pin goes to here, and then depending on if I have this switch here or here, it either switches the voltage to the tuner, which makes it like the original circuit, or it disconnects it from there and connects it to here, which is our auxiliary module. And remember, our auxiliary module, and this is a newer one, This one's actually done on a little circuit board. I just had 5 of these printed, and it just made it a little neater than the perf board. Take a look at it if you want. Whoop, it's upside down. I'm being pretty informal here, so you could see. So anyway, yeah, that's all that is. And it's the same circuit for the most part, but just a neater layout, I guess. So anyway, power wire is that white wire. Took me all this time just to say that, but I just wanted to say it in every way I could so you could understand. The second thing that everybody's wondering is how I connect this board into this board. So I will give you a close-up shot of the board, and it really doesn't matter if it's the ZE or the U model, they're the same. Here is the circuit board. So here's the front faceplate, here's the circuit board with the preamp on it. There is the 2 points, so follow along. That's where it connects on the circuit board. All right, take a picture, do a screen capture, whatever you need to do, and that's what it looks like. Okay, so that's really all there is to know about that. And the rest of this you can go back to the other couple of videos I did on the KP-500 and learn about what this board is and what it does. And I actually showed a kind of a breadboard version that I made, which is what's in this one here. And it works the same, so you don't have to make a printed board. No, I do not have any of these for sale. I just made a couple of them, and I don't have time to mail things out. Been pretty crazy at work, but I wanted to get this video out there. So here's our little Bluetooth module that we're going to put on, and this is, I'm not really familiar with it. Somebody gave it to me. Somebody sent it in to me, a friend of mine, and we're going to use it for this. But I'm sure there are so many hundreds of these out there. They're all basically the same thing. They have an audio right and left output, and they have a power input, and they have a Bluetooth control module in them. And a couple of notes that I would recommend on these: I don't really think it matters which one you buy, with the exception of, I do know that some of these are powered by USB power, meaning they only run on 5 volts. And if that's the case, if you have one that only runs on 5 volts, understand that a car radio such as these runs on 12 volts or 14 volts, whatever you want to call it, but much higher than 5 volts. So you will need some sort of voltage regulator to step that power down to 5 volts. Some of these modules will run on 12 volts, as will this one. I think this one can go up to 15 volts maximum. The beauty of that is that you can just plug the power to this directly into the power socket of your radio. So you don't need any kind of voltage regulators or anything like that. So it'll make connection on it very easy. So essentially all we want to do is this one was actually pretty nice because it already came with the cables that you need. And all we're going to do is we're going to connect our power, and we'll find a place in the radio to do it. And then the output, the right and left output, is just going to go, you're still going to do your same mod with your little adapter board, but instead of having these RCA input jacks, the wires that would go to the RCA jacks, we're just going to connect into the board. And that's all. Now on this one, since this one's already been done and I've already added the RCA jacks, I'm just going to parallel this right onto the back of the RCA jacks. It won't hurt anything. And that way it's just a lot easier than trying to rewire this thing again. Another thing you need to remember is this little zigzaggy line on here is the antenna. So this is the antenna for the Bluetooth radio. This is what's going to communicate to your mobile or your Bluetooth device. So like if you're going to use your mobile phone, as a music player, it's going to communicate through this. And on a KP-500, these things were built to last. And they have a pretty heavy metal cover, which goes all the way around the unit when it's put together. So when you mount this thing inside here someplace, wherever we end up putting it, it'll probably go somewhere around here. Just understand that as soon as you put this cover on, this whole chassis is at ground potential. You are going to heavily attenuate this signal. And although I believe we will still be able to connect to a mobile device, you're not going to be standing outside your car with your phone playing this thing. It's probably going to work from the seat of your car to this unit where it's mounted under the dashboard or something. It's not going to have very good range. If you need longer range, you're going to have to probably find a way to mount this outside the radio, so to get more range. I'm not going to do that because the way I figure it, anytime you're going to use this thing, you're going to be sitting in the car with it, and you're only going to be, a short distance away from it, so it should be fine. We'll test it after we hook this up. We'll see how far we can get before it drops signal. First thing we want to do is prepare the wire here, and I'm just going to cut the end off of one of these. Now your Bluetooth module may not have this. This one has an auxiliary input and it has a line output, and there's two sets of connectors in parallel. So you have this one for this cord, and it is in parallel with this one, which can use your standard connector for headphones. You can see we can do that. So we're going to use the cord, but this is a little bit fancier module. It also has an auxiliary input that you can probably toggle between, but we're not going to use that. And yes, I could disconnect the phono inputs and put them in here, but I'm not going to do that. We're just going to connect this the simple way. I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's prepare the wire. I'm just going to cut it off like that, and I'm going to take this heat shrink off, give me a little bit of extra length on the wire, and then I'm going to strip them off. I'll be right back. Okay, we're all connected now. So the first thing we did was just in the output of the board, which is these two little coaxes. You see this one here, and you see this one here. Those are the ones that go down to the RCA jacks on the back. See there? That's all. They just connect to that. Now, if you don't use RCA jacks, you just want to do the Bluetooth, all you got to do is just come straight out of these capacitors here and go right into the module. So that's what I did. I just connected them in parallel because I'm not going to use these here, but I just didn't feel like disconnecting them. Okay, but if I want to use them, I can as well. So let's connect power. Oh, and then power. So on my module, and yours may be different, like I said, it just has these quick connects. You just shove the wires in there and they're just kind of captive. So I have my plus and minus, and looking at the schematic, we need to pick off some voltage somewhere, right? So if we go back to this little switch unit board, you notice there's a 12 volt input, and there's also a ground, which they're not showing on here, but there's actually, oh, there it is, right here is a ground. So looking down in here, that 12 volts is this orange wire right here. And if you look, let me see if I can zoom in. This camera may not want to zoom very closely, but you can see right there. See the red wire? This is the wire going over to the Bluetooth module, and it goes right on the same pin where that orange wire is. So Here's the white wire that we removed and replaced with our little switch here. Go back to the other video to see this. And then you skip one pin, which is this yellow wire, and then the third pin in is this orange wire. That's your 13.8 volts. So it's just connected right on there. And then the ground comes out of here, and it just connects to this. These two terminals right here are both ground, right on the edge of the board. See it? There it is. Okay. Hope you can see all that. So that's it. It's that simple. So there's essentially power and ground, and then your left and right input that goes into our little adapter module. And again, go back to the previous video if you want to know how these work. Let's plug it in and see what happens. So if we look, it's flashing. So let me see, turn on my Bluetooth here, and let me go to Bluetooth, and let me back up, and let's see if we can find, there it is, down there at the bottom. Hit that, pair, and did you hear it? It came through. And now it should be solid. And you can see the flashing went away. And it is now connected. Now, question is, can I get some YouTube audio library music on my phone? Let me get something up here that we can play, and I'll be right back. Well, that was quite the experience. I'm out looking for Bluetooth music on this thing, and I finally found the YouTube audio library, and I'm kind of scrolling through, and my phone rings, and I'm answering it, and I'm the hello, 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 you know, and then I realize I'm on Bluetooth, so I switch over, and now somehow I hear the guy I'm talking to and then the music starts coming through the phone, and nuts. Anyway, that was fun. So let's play some music so you can at least hear this thing. Not too shabby. So that's all there is to it, and I hope now that helps you guys out. I know that the biggest question that I got, other than the Bluetooth module, was where to connect this adapter module here. And it's, again, these two places here, the white and the blue wires. So look at that close-up shot earlier in this video, and if you need to do a screen capture and print it out or whatever, go right ahead, feel free. But that's it. And that's turns this into Bluetooth. The last thing I will do is I'm going to put this cover on, just like so, and I am going to go ahead and, well, I'll get it all put back together, and I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in, and we're going to walk around and see just how far I can get before we lose connection. All right, we're all connected, and I'm going to leave this microphone here on the bench. Hopefully we can hear the music playing. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to walk all the way across the room as far as I can. We're going to see what happens if this thing disconnects. The covers are on, the screws are screwed down, so if there's any attenuation of the signal, we should see it. So here we go. right. So I would say that works. Let's see. Let me put the microphone back on. I was a good 3 or 4 meters away, 15, 20 feet. And this thing never even broke a sweat. So I don't think we're going to have any problems. Now, again, that's this module. And I will give you what came with it. So here's a website. Here is the manual. Here is what it looks like. If I can get you a good view of it. Okay. Just kind of look, and then here is I don't know if that's going to show you anything. So I don't know if we can get this somehow, if you can scan it off your. Some phones can actually scan an SKU code or a QR code off of the monitor. And so there it is. That's the one I have. And like I said, somebody gave me this. I'm sure you can find these modules everywhere. They probably have them on eBay, Amazon, Banggood. You can get them at Parts Express. And like I said, there's probably literally hundreds of these little modules, and they're all very similar. The main thing you want to make sure is that whichever one you buy, you want to get one that'll run on 12 volts and not just 5 volts. That way you don't have to mess around with the power supply, and it's as simple as connecting 2 wires across the power terminals of the radio. So that's it. That is how you put a Bluetooth module in one of these radios. So between this video and the video prior to this one, which I'll try to put a link at the end of this one, that's how you do it. So again, I wish you all peace, joy, happiness, and good health. And as you can tell, there were a lot of pauses in this video. It's because of how many phone calls were coming in. Work is getting really busy again. We're starting to we've always been a little bit busy over this thing, but it's getting really busy now. So my videos may get a little more few and far between for a while until we get back on track with things and get some stuff caught up at work. So with that in mind, take care of yourselves, and it was a lot of fun just seeing this work. But I think I've pretty much worn out my welcome with these KP-500s. So until next time, stay well, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. All right, bye-bye.